Hello guys, my name is Ajmain and I will be introducing you to Blender.
When you open Blender, the first thing you see is the default cube, the light, and the camera. To move around in Blender, use middle mouse button and shift left middle mouse button to pan around, and you can also zoom in and out. To change focus, you use the decimal key, and then to create new objects, you press Shift plus A, and then you get option to from here you click Mesh, and then there's cube, there's plane, there's UV sphere, there's all kinds of things. And then there are different views in Blender too. There's the X-ray mode, then there's wireframe mode, then this is the solid mode. This is the mode where you will be modeling most of the time. There's the shade viewport shading mode. Over here you'll see the color. So if I add any color, let's say colored it green, I can see it here, but I don't see it in the modeling mode. Also, this is the rendered mode. So over here, right now I'm using the Eevee render engine, which is this is for speed. This is based on game engines, so it renders very fast. Usually in the final render we will use cycles, which is a bit slower. You can also change between different modes using Z. So when you're using an object, there are two kinds of modes. There's object mode and there's edit mode. You can change it from here. There's other modes too, but these are the ones you'll be using most of the time. So in order to change between object mode and edit mode, you can press tab, and you can also do this here. So the advantage with edit mode is that you can edit the individual vertices over here or edges, or you can also use the faces. In order to change between them, you can press here for vertices, edges, and face, or 1, 2, 3. There are the three most important control here are E, which is extrude. You can add extra geometry anywhere. Then there's R for rotate, so you can rotate anything. And S to scale, so you can scale anything using S. Also, you can use S and R in the object mode too. One of the most important tool is also a loop cut, which you do with Control R. So you can add extra geometry here, and then you can, let's say, pull it up. In order to drag edges, you use G. G is for moving object. You can also use it in object mode to move it. In order to copy objects, you press Shift D, and then using G you can move it around. Let's say also after pressing G you can press Y to move it in the Y-axis or X-axis or Z-axis, whatever axis you like. This also applies when you're extruding. So over here by default they're taking the Z-axis based on the object's normal. So you can also change it to yours. So over here now I'm pressing Z, and it takes with the global Z-axis. I can change it to X and it will move. Objects are made at the cursor, and cursor also has not only making object, there are also lots of different things you can use the cursor for. To change the position of your cursor, you just press Shift and then right click. The cursor will go there. Also, let's say you wanna make an object on this object's face, so you press tab and then press 3 and keep your mouse here, and then when you press Shift S you can find option to set your cursor. So if I press it here, it will go to the world origin, and if I press cursor tool, it will come here, and now I can make an object here. So now I'll show you modifiers. So modifiers basically they do a lot of extra stuff. Let's say the array modifier creates an array of objects, so there's a 2, 3, as many as you need, and you can change the x-axis, or you can make it with the y-axis too, any way you want. So modifier tabs is here, and you can add as many modifiers you want, but So the mirror modifier mirrors the object based on any of the axes you set. So I'm removing the area modifier. So I can so if I want to duplicate this base, keep it on the left and the right of this plane, I can mirror the object based on here. Also, the object can mirror based on itself. So let's say I'm making a house here. So I can delete all the half of this house, and then so I have to delete only faces here. My bad, not only faces. Yeah, faces. Yeah, this one. So after that, so you can build one side of the house and then mirror it later. We'll build a house together, and most of the tools I've showed you right now, we'll use them. So I've showed you all the tools first, so you can review it later if you guys want. Now we'll start building the house. I'm just gonna delete everything. If you press A, you select everything over here. There's a camera and cube, and X, and delete. So the collection so you can have as many collections as you want to group up objects together. So first I will get the cursor to center, so that's Shift S, and then cursor to world origin. Then I'll start with the cube. I'll just reshape it a bit first with the x-axis, and then I will with the y-axis until I find the right shape. I can also I'll just make it level with the origin, so G and then Z, and if I press 1 it will go exactly 1 unit upward. So it's done. You can also view around using the numpad, so 1, 3, 4, 7, all of those. 7 from top view, 1 for front, 3 for side, and also you can use Alt Control 1 to go with the opposite direction. Control I, Control 3, Control 7. So now to make the house, I will go to edit mode and then Control R for loop cut, and then I will right click to set it in the center, and then using 2 I will have edge select. It is already selected. Select this and then press GZ to take it a bit slightly upward. Then to build the roof, what I will do is press 3 to have face select, select this two, and then Shift D to copy. So now I have extra. Now I'll press P to separate. I can separate my selection by material, by loose parts. So over here selection works because I've selected those two. And then now I have two different objects, this roof and then this cube. I'll just rename them. To rename, you can just press double click and then rename. So this is the house, or you can press F2, which is a shortcut. So F2, roof. So I'm gonna make it bigger, a bit slightly bigger, but as you can see it goes away, right? So what I can do, that's because when you're resizing, it's usually by default is doing from the center, and the center of this is the yellow dot. The reason is this because when I made the cube originally, the center was there, and when so the roof was made from the cube, right? So they're the same center. In order to change it, I can go to Object, Set Origin to Geometry. There are a lot of options for various times, but right now we just need Origin to Geometry, and then we can resize that a bit to be slightly bigger than the top part of the house. So there you go. So right now the roof is a thin slice. So in order to make it 3D, I can just select the whole thing using A. So I select a face and then A, the whole thing, and then E, and it's now solid. However, there's a better way to do this. I can just use a solidify modifier. So select this, the wrench, and then solidify modifier, and then I can increase the length here. So using a modifier is better in this case because if we extrude it and then use it, it adds extra geometry. Right now I can go to edit mode and then change them and then edit very easily. But if I extruded it, it would have been harder to control it. So if you apply the modifier and go to edit mode, you'll see that the edges are added. So it's basically the same thing, but now I have more control over it. Now I'll make the windows. So first I will get the cursor to the place I want. So to tab, and then I will press 3, select this face, and then Shift S, the cursor to selected, and then I will go to object mode, Shift A, and then I will create a cube. Now the reason I didn't create the object in the edit mode, let me show you, is because let's say I'm in edit mode, Shift A, I can still create a cube, right? Okay, I create a cube, but however, let's say you get out of the object mode. Now if you move it, the cube moves with the object. So this is not a separate object anymore. This is with the house, and we don't want that because we need a separate object for using the modifier. So I just select and delete it. So if you wanna select this whole thing, what you can do is press L, and this selects all the edges connected to all the faces connected to this face. So and then I can press X, select faces, and then just delete it. Now I'm gonna make the cube. So I'm gonna use a Boolean modifier. What Boolean modifier does is it subtracts one object from another. So in order to do that first, so let me show you how the Boolean modifier works. I'll select this, select the add modifier, then look for Boolean modifier here, and then select the object I will subtract. So this one. So now if I hide this, you can see there's a hole here. This is what the Boolean modifier does. It subtracts something. There are other options like union, intersect, but right now we just need to subtract, so we are using difference. So I'm just gonna place resize it and place it at the right position. I'm gonna make it a bit thinner. So now I also want a window here, and I could copy it and place it here, but there's a better way to do this. So what I'm gonna do is add a mirror modifier. So right now it went away, but don't worry about that. So I'll mirror this based on the house. So what it does is it will take the house's origin, and based on that it will mirror it. So over here it's based on the x-axis, so there's here. You can also be the y-axis, so it's over here, or you could do both together at the same time. Since I'm using the Boolean modifier 2, now I can hide it all, and I've got 4 windows here. So I'm just gonna copy this and get to build windows on this side and this side. So Shift D to copy, press X to move it in the x-axis, and then I'm just gonna remove the mirrors. You can hide the mirrors using this, so it won't be shown in the viewport, and then rotate it a bit. If I want to make it exactly on the face, what I'll do is select this, select these two faces at the same time, Shift S, and then cursor to select it, so it's exactly here. And then I can select this object, Shift S, and then cursor, selection to cursor, here, and it's done. It's exactly the center. Now I can bring back the mirror modifier, and I don't need the x-axis, I don't need the y-axis, so here it is. I gotta add another Boolean modifier because I didn't add it to this object. This and these are different separate objects, so there's no Boolean modifier here. So I'm adding another one. I can use the this tool to just select it here, and it's done. So now, the modifiers won't be used till you apply them. So right now, if I remove this, let's say deleted it, the modifier won't be applied. So what I gotta do is apply the modifier. So in order to do that, you can press Ctrl as shortcut, or you can just apply it here like this. Yeah, so it's all applied. Now if I delete them, the windows are there. Now I'm gonna delete all the faces to make space for the windows. You gotta use Shift to select all of them, so, or else you're just selecting one at a time. So, and then X, delete faces. Now I'll build a door. I'm gonna use the same method I used to build the windows. So I'm gonna select all these faces and then Shift S, cursor to selected, and then another cube. I'm gonna resize it a bit. And then edit mode, I can press 3 and then just drag it down using G. All the keys I press are seen here, shown here, so you can just see them. Okay, I guess the door is fine. Just resize it a bit. And then I'm gonna use the Boolean modifier again and select this. Apply it. Yeah, there's a door here. Just gonna select and delete this. Now for the base. To build the base, I'm gonna first Shift S, cursor to world origin, and then build a plane. I'm going to move it a bit to the right. Yeah. And then I'm going to build a fence. So I'm just going to take a plane and then I'm going to press // in order to take it to this mode. So right now I can build the fence here and then bring it back to the collection. So I'm going to rotate it, make it a bit thinner, add a loop cut. Yeah, take one of the vertices a bit up and then resize it a bit more. Yeah, so this is a single fence. I can add the solidify modifier to give it a bit of thickness. This is the same solidify modifier we used for the roof. And then we're gonna use the area modifier. So as many as we need, and we gotta keep a bit of space in between. And then I'm going to press Shift A and bring another plane. This is gonna be make it a bit thinner on the Z-axis. Take it up a bit more thinner. And then same thing, area modifier. I'm gonna keep the same number so it works right and resize it till it seems right. Yeah, it looks right. And then I'm gonna add a second area modifier and then keep it in the Z-axis. 1 here and 0 here. My bad, this was the original one. So 0 here and 1 here. Oh, my bad, it's on the Z-axis. Just gonna move it a bit till it seems right. I guess that will be fine. We could also add the solidify modifier here. And we're gonna take it a bit left, so it makes sense. Yes, to make it more realistic. So I guess that's fine. Now we can go back to the let's just rename it first, fence. Yeah, and then if you press the forward slash again, you will go back. Now we can use this. I'm gonna scale it down a bit. If you select all of them together, it will scale down based on the median origin. Now, this is the pivot point. Over here is normally the median point. So there's also individual origins. So now I can. So now I'm resizing based on the individual origins of the objects. So, but we don't need that here. We're just gonna use the median point here. There's also 3D cursor. There's other options too. Place it around. So just start with the back. Okay, I'm gonna have to start it from the other direction. And then I will keep adding it till it covers the whole thing. So I'll do the same for here, 60. Okay, just one more. Then I'll Shift T, copy it, and then move it around for the other fences. One here, and then Shift T, R, Z, 90. You could use the mirror modifier here too, but I'm just gonna copy it. This one crosses it a bit, so I'll move it a bit to the left. I'll just decrease it a bit, 1. Yeah, that should do it. You could use the mirror modifier here too. Just gonna copy it. So when moving it, you can also press Shift and move to make it slower. Yeah, that works. Now I'm gonna apply the modifiers here so that I can make a hole from here which will lead out of the house. So Control A to apply, and then so same for here. Just checking they're fine. Yeah, they are. Now I'm just gonna press Control 1 and then yeah, that's in front of the house, and then I'm just gonna select a few of them and remove them. So in order to select, you use L. Select these three, delete. Same goes for here. Yet, two more. Yeah, this should be fine. Now for the path from the house to the outside. In order to build that, I will create a plane first. Bring it to the top, bring it a bit front. Resize it. So there will be small stones that will lead from the house to the outside. So to build a path, I'll use two area modifiers. First one, giving a bit of distance. I will take it to the center. Okay, and then the next one, I will pick another one. This time to the Y. Y. Increase the distance. Then it will go all the way. We'll increase the geometry a bit so we can edit it. This will be rocks, so when I when I randomize them, you will get why I'm adding more geometry here. This process will be a bit tedious, but it is what it is. So I'm just gonna apply the area modifiers, and then select so I'm going to show proportional editing. So if I move this vertex, it will just move on its own and then reshape, right? But if I use proportional editing, what it will do is it will create a circle, and then if I move it, the other vertices will move based on how big the circle is. So using this, I can randomize. So using this tool, I can randomize the rocks and make them more natural. So this is going to be a tedious process, but it won't take that long. So I'm just going to move it around a bit. So I'm gonna want to move it around on the z-axis. I'm just gonna want to move it on the x and y axis. So what I'm gonna do is press G and then Shift Z to make sure it doesn't move around in the z-axis. Let's have to move it a bit. I guess they're random enough. So now I'll just add solid modifier. Same as the one we use on the roof and the fence. It's gonna make sure it's above the ground. So I'm using shift and then moving to slow it down. Yeah, now it's fine. Now we will color it first. So this is called texturing really. So I'll go to the viewport shading mode, and then everything is white here. So start with the rocks. So this is the material properties. So over here you press new and then stone. There is a lot of options here, but for today you're just gonna I'll just show you a very few of them, and most of the time there are 4 options that are the most important usually. They're the base color, it changes the color. Then there's metallic, so how metallic an object is, roughness, how rough it is. I'm going to increase it. And transmission, which is to make it transparent. So we won't be using that in the tutorial. And emission, to make it emit light. So it's black, so not emitting anything at all. There's also a separate tab for this shading. So you can add nodes, and there are like a lot of options here. So you can do a lot of things. You can bring in textures from the internet and use them too. So it is really powerful, but we're just gonna do basic stuff, so we don't need the shading mode. The fences will be white, but I'm just gonna make it anyway. And over here, if you already made a material, you can just press this and you choose that. So all of this will have the same material, so I'm just gonna select all. And then you can select a material where you applied so let's say over here I applied white red, so I can just select it. So the active object is a bit has orange outline, and the non-active ones have, sorry, the active one has yellow and the non-active ones have orange. So now this is the active one, so Control L, which will take me to materials. So to this option of object data materials, I'll select materials. So now all these objects I've selected will have this material, the white one. So making a material for the house, just gonna rename it to house and then give it a slight yellow. And then the roof, I'll give it a slight red. So I can make the roof, do more stuffs with the roof. So I'm changing the focus and then edit mode. And then I can add extra edges here. Then I can select all of them using 2, then shift. Press E to extrude, Z to make it one way. Actually, I have to apply the modifier first, so or else since it's else I'm not using the extra geometry. So it's Control A, applying the modifier, and then edit mode, Shift R, then the loop cuts. Okay, and then I select them. E to extrude, and it's automatic. Side to press Z to make it go in the Z axis. Yeah, and then I can select this edge and then shift this edge, and if I press F, it connects them. So I'm gonna do the same with all of them. This is a tedious process, but it be like that sometimes, and there are better ways to do this. You can make a single plank and then use the array modifier, but this is easier to understand, but it's fine. So sometimes you gotta do it like this. So I gotta also fill this face, so in order to select it, I've got to Alt and left click. So what it does is selects all of them around edges together, and then F to connect. And do this same for all of them. So now the roof looks better. So for this side, I don't have to really do it. I can just delete these faces over here. So I can select this one and then Control plus to select. So what it does is it selects all the adjacent faces, and then more you press, the more adjacent faces it selects. So pressing it once I get all of them, I need to delete, and then X, delete all these faces, and then I'm just going to use the mirror modifier. You can add your own shortcut for modifiers. So over here you can right click and then assign a shortcut. So for me, I use my fourth mouse button. So here it is. So it's based on the y-axis. So over here I'm going to select any mirror object, because if you don't select it, does is based on itself, and the reference it uses is the origin. So over here is the origin is here. So based on that, it mirrored itself. So right now I want to dip this part with the road. So for that I can take all the edges and take all the vertices and then get them down, but I'm gonna use the sculpting mode to show you. So sculpting mode has has own work of art, is a very big skill. You can do a lot of advanced stuff with graphics tablet, but we're gonna do very basic stuff. But before I do that, I need to increase the geometry over here, because for using sculpting mode you need a lot of vertices. So to do that, to increase geometry, what you do is right click, subdivide, and then open up this tab, and then number of cuts 100. So now we have a lot of vertices and we can use the sculpting mode with it. So I will press the plane and then go to sculpt mode. I will select dynamic topology. What it does is that based on how close and how far you are, it will create a topology, and it will increase the number of vertices there are based on while you're working. So I will just take this mode, the drawing mode, and then what it does is it takes the ground out of it, but we don't want that. We just want to dip this a bit. So to do that, we use opposite function, which is by pressing Control, and then if you press left click, you can dip it a bit. So we'll do it all the way. Then we'll get back to the normal mode. Take this and get this a bit. Yeah, it should look fun. Should color this too. We will add grass here, so the color would be seen much except for the path. I guess this will be fine for now. Now we'll build a tree. So to that, I'm just gonna bring out a plane, and then forward slash to go to remove everything else. Then what I will do is I will select all go to vertex mode by selecting this, and then press M, and then this will merge everything at some point. I just need them to merge at the center, so that I have a single vertex. Now it's very important you are at vertex mode, or else it won't work. And then you press E to extrude. So we'll first make the backbone of the tree. So move around and then go up, just like this. But it's fine. Okay, now so to thicken it, what we're going to use a modifier. It's the skin modifier we're going to use. Now it looks too big, but to go to the edit mode, press A to select all, and then Control A, and then I can scale them down. Keep a little bit of thickness, and then I'm going to select the branches only. I mean the edges only. And then scale them. Control A, scale them down. I need proportional editing for this. I'm going to scale this part a bit up. Okay, and then I'm going to apply the skin modifier. So some of you might get an error, you can't apply the modifier. That's because if you're in edit mode, you can't apply it. It doesn't work. You gotta be in object mode to apply the modifiers. So now it works. And since it's applied now, there's extra geometry that I can work with. I'm just gonna rotate this a bit. Yeah, it should be fine. And then for the leaves, I'm gonna just use icospheres. Shift D to duplicate and move around. Keep them different sizes. Then I'm just going to play around with it a bit to add some randomness to it. You can take everything to remove selecting them together. Then you can go to edit mode and then edit them. It's fine. Now I'm gonna add a material. Then shift select all. Then this one, this is active, press Ctrl L, then materials. Okay, now it's done. So if I move, as you can see, if I move this, those don't move, or move this, none of them are moving together. What you can do is select all of them, then press shift and then select the branch and then Ctrl J. What it will do is that it will get all the object, group them all of them together. So now I can move this. There's also another option to parent them to make sure that the objects are separate, but we don't really need that here. We just need them to be together. So Ctrl J works best here. Now I'm gonna get out of that mode and place the tree. You can make as many trees as you like and place them around. I'm just gonna make one. It's the same process. If you want, you can make the tree more complex by adding a subdivision modifier if you want, but I'm not going to do that in the tutorial. But there is option to make the tree better. Just gonna move this one a bit. So I want to move this one a bit because the branch is a bit out. So what I'm going to do is go to edit mode, select one, and then press L. Hover, keep my mouse hovering over it and press L, and then move it. So I'm just gonna remove this proportional editing and then do it. Yeah, works. As for the rest of this place, I'm gonna add grass here. So I'm gonna use particle system, which is a bit difficult, but if you just follow along, you will get it right. And it might take a bit of processing power. So if you don't want to do it, you can just make the place smaller and make the plane smaller and add more trees if you want. So I'm gonna start making grasses. Again, / to this mode, then I'll just get to the center. Rotate 90 degree on x-axis. GZ1 to make it perfectly aligned with the world origin. Then tab, adding some loop cuts using controller. Then using proportionality, I'm just gonna thicken it a bit. There are different types of proportional in the sphere, root, inverse, sharp. I think I'm just gonna try sharp and see how it looks. I guess it's better, but I will just, yeah. This will be fine. Then I will add array modifier. Just a preference I'm going to write. The reason I'm building so many grasses is because you want some randomness, right? If I keep only one grass in the particle system, it will all look the same. So I'll have a lot of them, and then also on the other side. The reason why you're not seeing any difference, even though there's another array modifier, is because this is a two-dimensional object, right? So this is based on relative distance. It doesn't work on two-dimensional objects, so you gotta give a solidify modifier to make it three-dimensional. I'm applying the solidify modifier after the array modifiers. So that's why it's not working. So I gotta move it to first, or press here, move to first. So now it's working. I'm gonna add a bit more distance. Yeah, I guess it's fine. Okay, now I'm going to apply it. The array, so I applied from the beginning. Solidify, then this array, then this array. Okay, now I have all these separate objects. So one of the problem is that they all of these objects, they're all one object. Before that, I just gotta add the randomness first. So they all look the same, right? We don't want that. We want them to be random. So what do we do? Proportional editing, smooth, and then move it around a bit to add some randomness to this. Just take random edges and then move around. Okay. Now all of this together are one object with the origin here. So I don't want that. I want all of them to be separate. So I select all by going to edit mode, pressing A, then P, and by loose parts. So I guess that's self-explanatory. So now all of them are separate. I am gonna keep all of them in one collection. So this is our main collection. I'm just gonna create a new collection to keep all the grasses, to group them together. So to make a new collection, what you do is press M, I'm going to select all of them, press P. So they're all together with the same origin here, right? I don't want that. I want all of them to be separate. So what I'm going to do is press tab, select all, press P by loose parts. So now you see all of these are different objects. Oh, this is one, this is one, this is one. However, all of them have the same origin, no matter which one you take. See here, right? So I gotta change origin for all of them. So I'm gonna select all, object, set origin to geometry. But now we have another problem. The geometry is at the middle. We don't want that. You will see later why we don't, but for now just follow along. Go select all, press tab, A, then G, and then don't use proportional editing, and then G, Z. Take all of them together, up. It doesn't matter if the origin is exactly in the object, but this will work for the particle system. Then we want them to be in the same collection for ease of use. So we're gonna get it out edit mode, press M. So we gotta get out of local view to put in the same collection. So remove from. So now we can press M and then new collection, grass. Just gonna create a material for them. Control L to make the same material, and then I'm going to select all of them, shift this, then Control L material. Now I can change it. Just gonna keep the grass a bit bluish. Okay. Now what I do is I gotta add the particle system. Before that, I'm going to select it and then A to select it all, and then press E and extrude it a bit. And then there's this because of the sculpting, this is a bit messy. What I can do is press S, Z axis by pressing Z, and then press 0 to get it all lined up. Okay, it's fine now. These are just extra. These are all flattened, even though they seem like extra. These are just extra vertices. Doesn't matter, no problem. Then we add the particle system. So you go here, this is the particle system option, press add, this is gonna be our grass. So now there's two options, emitter and hair. Emission is if particles are coming out, we don't need that, we need hair. So this is gonna be like grasses. This is giving a preview of how the particle system will be. So what we need is go to render, then render as collection. So collection, as this is all of this together in one collection, so we choose collection and then choose the collection so that we can access all the grass. For this we go to object rotation, and then we select all of it, and then press R. We're gonna move it till we find the right axis. So I think it should 270. Yeah, it's 270. Yeah, so it works. Now I can scale it down. So I don't want grasses to be over here or on the road or inside the house. So what I'm gonna do is select this, go to this mode, and then press tab and select all the places I want to keep my my grasses on. So I'm just gonna select all of this first, and then press C. I can deselect these parts. So around the house. Check if it's fine. It seems fine, but there are a few. To remove them perfectly, I can go to extra mode and then see. Yeah, it's fine. Now I can go back to normal mode and then add a new vertex group here, assign. Call this grass. Then I can go to back to my particle system, then go down, go to vertex groups, density, grass. See if it works. Yeah. So now only the grasses are around and not on the path. So I gotta scale the grass down a bit. There's option to scale here. You can also reduce the object size to do it, but this is the best way, I guess. Then you can. It may seem like there aren't enough grass, but you can use this option, children. This one, and now you can see there's more grass. But if you render, there will be even more. For right now, I'm keeping the display amount to 1 and render amount to 100. So now if I render it, there will be much more grass. So I gotta bring back a camera, so Shift A. Just camera here. And then I'm gonna place it. So in order to place the camera, what you're gonna do, select position, press Ctrl Alt 0. Achha, my bad, I added the speaker instead. Yeah, Ctrl Alt 0. Then you can render it, but there's no light, so I'm just gonna add a few light around to show you how it looks the sun. So there are different light. The thing of the sun is that it directs light, same rays come from all directions just like the sun, but all from this angle. You can see how it looks in the render mode. I can increase the intensity here, light option, and then too bright, so 8. So I don't want hard shadows to be there, so what I'm going to do is add another light. So now you can render it and see. So to render, there's option here. This is the render menu. There's Eevee render. Eevee is a game render engine, so it's much faster. It won't give you the best render, but it's very fast compared to the other one. So there are lots of options here, but I'm not gonna go through all of them. So I'm just gonna render it in Eevee to show you how the children property works. So you can tweak the settings around and render, and when you find something you like, you can go to cycles, and then if you have a GPU, give GPU compute so it will be faster. And I'm just gonna change the background. So yeah, background is here. Just gonna change it to black, and then when you press F12 it will do the final render. But before that, this is the viewport render 32, so this is why it's much faster. But you can, this is the render sample, so 128, so it's much better. So you can ramp this up to have better quality, but it will take much more computing power. So press F12 to render and you will be done. I just want to talk a bit about the renders. So this one's done in Eevee, this one's in Cycle. As you can see, the Cycles render is much better. Eevee is usually used, is the renders that's used in game engines usually, so it's optimized to be done instantly. While Cycles is much slower, but it gives much better quality because Cycles have bounce lighting. Basically, when light hits an object, the light bounces again and hits another object. So and it hits again another object. So usually, by the third time it hits an object, it lost most of its energy. So if you have 3 hits, that gives pretty good quality. If doesn't have that, so when the light comes and hits, that's the only thing it renders, nothing extra. That's what's special about the new generation RTX cards. They use ray tracing, so you can get a lot more bounces in real time. There are, of course, game quality in games seem very good because they use other methods to fake all the bounces. This render is done by Masuda Appu, so she added flowers and added a chimney and added some railings for the glasses. You can do them easily using cube or plane extruding. For the flowers, you can make them just the way I made the fences. Take a plane and then do it, and you can use the particle system to spread it around, or you can just do it yourself. Place them in different places manually. And for the chimney, it's a cube and then extruded it to make it like this. You can also create smokes the same way I made the leaves. So that ends my tutorial. If you want to learn more, you can go to Blender Guru. He's a great YouTuber. There's also Grant David, and there's a lot more resources. I will send you guys the link. And next you can see Masuda Appu's video. Thank you.
Hi, in this video I'm going to show you Blender and then a small very simple tutorial of how to make an orange in Blender. So Blender is a free 3D software that you can easily download from your browser. Link would be in the description, so click that, install, and then run it. So let's get started. This is the starting page of Blender. লেফট সাইডে কয়টা টুলস আছে, রাইট সাইডে আউটলাইনার, এখানে সব অবজেক্টসগুলো থাকে লিস্টেড, এন্ড ওটার নিচে প্রপার্টিজ প্যানেল, এন্ড মাঝখানের নিচের দিকে it's the timeline for animation. There will also be a cube when you open a new Blender file. To move an object, use the move button and click any of the axes and move your mouse to move it. এটা ইউজ করতে পারো with your mouse to move your view in the 3D space. Press Shift D to duplicate an object and then Y or X or Z to move the new object along that axis. To delete an object, you can press X and then delete. এরকম আরো অনেকগুলা শর্টকাটস আছে, আমি ওগুলা স্ক্রিনের এক সাইডে রাখতেছি. So let's start making the orange now. Open a new Blender file and then press X to delete the default cube because we don't need that. Then press Shift A to add a sphere. Zoom in and then press Tab to go to edit mode. Press C to go to wireframe mode. Select the top vertices and then press X to delete the vertices. Go back to solid mode for a better look. Then to select the top vertices at the rim, press Alt and then select the top vertices. Now we need a thickness to the rim, so press E to extrude and then S to scale it inwards up to this, and then press E again to extrude and then Z to extrude it downwards a little bit. And then we need a face at the middle, so press F to add a face. Go back to object mode by pressing Tab. Now it's kinda rough at the bottom, so we don't want that. Right click and press Shade Smooth, but as you can see we have lost all the edges and we don't want that. So go to Object Data Properties, Normal, and then press Auto Smooth. We have our edges back, nice and clean. Now we need the orange pieces over the orange. So go to top view, press Z to go into wireframe for a better look. Then add Shift A to add a plane, scale it, move the square to a place. We want 8 of these smaller oranges, so shape it like one of those pieces. Press G to move the vertices. Place it in such a way so that after we add the rest of the 8 pieces, it looks nice. Make sure there's a gap between them. Now this part is not really that smooth, so select all the vertices at the top and then loop cut one here and then one here, and then move those vertices to make it smooth. Go back to object mode. Let's make an array for the rest of the orange pieces. Go to modifiers and then array. If we use the relative offset, we're gonna get the arrays in one line. We don't want that, so we're gonna use the object offset. So we need an object at the middle. First, let's get the origin of our orange piece at the center. So right click and then set origin to 3D cursor. Now let's add an empty there. We have to make sure that the scaling of the orange piece and the empty is the same. So to look at the scaling of the orange piece, press N, and then it has a scaling of 0.396. So select the empty again and set its scaling to be the same, 396. 396. Now select the orange piece again, and then under the object select our empty and then click it up to 8 because we need 8 pieces. Now if you move the empty, we're gonna get the rest of the orange pieces. So press 45 to rotate it to 45 degrees. We have our orange piece. To apply the modifier, press this and then apply. Now if you want, you can delete the empty. Then delete. Let's move the oranges a bit downwards and then add some thickness. So press A to select all the vertices and then E to extrude downwards. E and Z to extrude downwards. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's our orange. So let's set the camera now. Go press O. Let's change the dimensions a bit. So we need a floor, shift A and then a plane. Press S to scale. Zoom in on the so to avoid this from happening, go to view and then lock camera to view, and now you can zoom in. Okay, so this does not have color yet. To add colors, click the orange and then go to materials, new, and then let's select a color for it, like an orange. To see the colors, go press Z again and then rendered. This is the rendered view, and then we need this one to have a darker orange color, and we want the middle part to be white. So select the skin again and then press tab to go into edit mode, and we want the middle face. So to select the middle face, go to face select in this corner and then select the middle face, and then add another material. This one would be like slightly yellowish white, and then hit assign. Boom. So that's our orange. If you now move the orange, it's gonna move alone, so we don't want that. So to attach this to, select the oranges and the skin and then press Ctrl P and then objects. Now if you move the skin part, the whole thing is gonna move. So let's maybe rotate it. Set. Okay. Rotate it in Z axis. Now that looks nice. Yep. Okay, so there is our orange. You can change the plain color as well. Select a slightly orangish color and then boom. And now you can render this out by pressing render and then render image. And then boom, that's your orange. So on part 2, I'm gonna show you how to animate this. Bye! Hi, this is part 2 of the orange tutorial. In part 1 we made the orange, and in this video we are going to make a small animation of it. So let's start by opening our previously saved blend file. Zoom out a little bit. We need 2 of these oranges. So select the smaller oranges and the bigger orange and then shift D to make a duplicate, and then rotate it along the Z axis a bit. Let's position it to a nicer position. Move the frame a little bit. Maybe zoom out. So let's pull the timeline a little bit so that we can see the keyframes properly. So let's show you how animation works. So at 1, let's set this orange is scaling at 0. Press I to set a keyframe on the scaling, and then maybe at 30 set the scaling again at 1, and hit I again. So if you now go from this frame to this frame, the scaling is gonna go from 0 at 1 and then up to 1 at 30. You can move these keyframes just like any other objects. You can also set keyframes by pressing I and then select the thing you want to set the keyframe at. Let's go back. For this orange, I want it to scale from small to big and at the same time rotate. Press N to see the numbers. I want this to be the end frame, so let's go to frame number 30 and then press I on the location, rotation and scaling. Let's do the same for the other orange. So end frame ta fix kora hoye geche. Now we can go to frame 1 and set the rotation of both the oranges to a position where they are facing each other. Select our first orange again and set the rotations to 270, 0, 0 for X, Y, Z axes respectively. Also move the oranges to the origin and then bring the scaling to 0, 0, 0. Press I on scaling, rotation and location to set the keyframes. Do the same for the other orange. Location at the origin, rotation should be 90, 0, 0 and scaling 0. Press I on the scale, rotation and location and then play it to see how it looks. Now I want the scaling to have a cartoonish effect, so it goes from small to big and then slightly small again. So let's set the scaling at frame 20 to 1.2 at each of the axes. Press I, and then maybe at 23 it should go back to normal. Let's see. Do the same for the other orange at 20. So then 1.2, 1.2, 1.2, I, and then at 23, get them back to 1, I. Let's see. Let's play the animation. Oh, okay, wait. Sorry, we should start end the animation maybe at 50. So tap 50 here, and then it should play up to this. Okay, play it. This kind of works. At this one, they're kind of overlapping each other. We don't want that. So let's fix those. Like at this one, maybe এটা একটা দিকে মুভ করে আনি, সেট আই এন্ড এটা ঠিক আছে, এটা একটা দিকে মুভ করি আই এন্ড দেন এখানে অনেক ঢুকে যেতেছে, মেবি এটা এখানে আই এন্ড দেন এটা এখানে আই, স্টিল ঢুকে যেতেছে। Let's get them further, but just keep experimenting till it looks okay. Also, I want the rotation of the second orange to end a bit later. So move this a bit over here, and then we can set another like eye. So let's see. Yeah, चल this is kind of a mess. You can maybe try to make it better. We want a text here, so press Shift A to, and then text to add a text. Here's the text. To edit the text, press Tab, and then just backspace and write something like Kamala. Tap to go to object mode, scale this a bit, rotate it along z-axis 90 degrees, move it down to a nicer position. To give it some thickness, go to the object data properties, and then under geometry increase the extrude to a suitable value. Maybe increase the offset a little bit, and then increase the depth for bevel to get rid of those edges. Maybe decrease the resolution. Now let's give the text some color. Add a new material and set the color to an orange. Now I want the text to have a similar kind of animation like the orange. So select the text and then go to a frame where we want to start our animation. Bring the text down a bit and then set the location by pressing I. Choose a frame for the end of the text animation. Bring the Kamala back up again and then I on location to set the keyframe. We want the text to have a scaling animation as well, so go back to the beginning of the text animation and then set the scales to 0, and then press I to set the keyframe. Go to the end of the animation and then set the scale big again. Okay, press I and then at maybe 43 so let's see. Okay, so it works. Let's move the camera during the animation as well. So select the camera. The animation of the camera should stop at 35. So press I on the location and rotation, and then at 5 let's set the camera at somewhere here. Still should look good. Okay, press I and I on that again. Let's see. Okay, so that's our animation. So to render this, go to here. We can use the render engine at Eevee or Cycles, it's your wish. Set the sampling at 64, it's okay. Go to output properties and then under outputs set where you want to save the video. So click this and press wherever you want to set the video. Name it, accept, and then under file format we need a video file format, so press this. And then I don't know what this does, you can search it in some good Blender guru video. Let's just say to this, I don't know what I'm doing. Okay, so to render this out, press render and then render animation. So wait for it, it's gonna take a while depending on what kind of PC you have. It's gonna render frame by frame. এখানে ফ্রেমগুলো লেখা থাকবে। Look, this is at frame 3. It's gonna stop when it's at frame 50, and then you can go to the place where you save the file and watch the video. Okay, so that's our animation. To add sound, you can always open it in a video editing software, download some sound from the internet and then add it, and then this is the result. If you want to learn more about this, there are many beautiful tutorials out there. I'm going to give you some of the links. Okay, bye.